This isn't a topic I've ever really spoken about in general in life to anyone, but as I was reflecting on my postpartum experience, I actually thought it's really important to share because it was something that was quite unexpected for me. And having gone through baby blues first time around, second time postpartum, I was much better equipped with dealing with it. And so I had a more enjoyable first few weeks being able to overcome those feelings. So I've put this together for you, a little survival guide. If you feel blue or a bit down postpartum in any way, don't worry, you're not alone. It's perfectly normal, but you don't have to endure it on your own either. There is help out there, and there are lots of things that you can do to help you feeling positive and happy again. Hi lovelies and welcome, it's Funzwa here. So the first thing that I would say is really important about overcoming baby blues is to simply identify how you are feeling. And this is something that I found really difficult to do because I didn't even realize I needed to do it. Baby blues is often defined as a more mild form of postnatal depression or a precursor to postnatal depression. And so because of that, I think in my head, I felt like anything I was feeling was definitely not depression. It wasn't bad enough for that. It wasn't strong enough for that. And I think the term depression for me, wrongly maybe, was defined as being a very extreme thing. But looking back, I definitely was experiencing baby blues, but I just wasn't able to identify that that's what I was feeling. It wasn't until I had a complete breakdown in front of my husband that we realized this was more than just feeling a bit low or working through this new life with a newborn or hormonal shifts. It was at that point that my husband sat me down and he was asking me just to reflect on how I was feeling about everything and just to try and talk about it in any way. I found it really difficult to identify what I was feeling, and I definitely didn't know how to make sense of it either. So I felt a bit silly, but honestly, I wish I'd had that conversation sooner because it was so freeing to at least identify what I was feeling. And from that conversation was how we were able to identify that I was actually feeling blue. The next thing to do is to figure out why you feel the way you do and maybe roughly when it started. So for me, I had a series of conversations with my husband and a close friend of mine who was completely detached from my family and my whole postpartum experience, which I found really comforting because I knew that I could be really frank with her without any repercussions in what I was saying. This was actually quite a difficult process because I felt like I was feeling very strong feelings, but nothing quite made sense. And it's not like there was one big trauma that I could attribute everything to, but it was through these series of conversations, I was able to identify some key changes in my life that were actually making me feel anxious and blue and making me feel down about myself and just life postpartum in general. A lot of my baby blues actually stemmed from struggling to breastfeed in the first 2 weeks. I think I had a creeping sense of inadequacy, and I really wanted to have a breastfeeding journey where I'd be able to breastfeed my baby and not be going through the physical pain that I was going through. But the whole situation, I think because I really wanted it and things weren't going entirely as I'd expected to, I was struggling to adjust. But from these conversations, we were able to identify what was wrong, how I was feeling. And from then, we were able to get some help from a lactation consultant, which changed everything. Another thing that was causing me some anxiety was the amount of help and people and family that I had around me. Now, of course, that is a huge, huge blessing. And I think because I was so grateful and appreciative for the help I was getting, I struggled to identify that a part of me was feeling overwhelmed with maybe feelings of feeling like I need to share my baby, but all I wanted to do was to hold her 24/7. And also having inevitable comments and recommendations on how to do things, on what to do and what not to do. And I really just wanted to figure it all out and put all of the research and reading that I'd done to test and doing things exactly how I wanted. This was something that really surprised me how much it affected my mindset. But I think it's a good thing to share and to be aware of that while having people around you and help is honestly such a big blessing and a great thing, it's still important to assess how you feel and just be aware of it and identify if it's having any negative impacts on how you feel, then you can address it. The third thing to do, I would say, is to get some quality rest. Now, I know it can seem impossible to get quality sleep with a newborn, but it's really important to try and find ways to carve out at least a few hours where you're getting some quality sleep in throughout the day. I found that the chronic fatigue was exacerbating everything about how I felt. And I just didn't have the emotional, mental, or physical capacity or resilience to identify my feelings and manage them because I was just so tired. So whether it's sleeping when baby sleeps or sleeping when baby's awake or getting someone in to help you look after the baby so that you can have a nap, whatever your solution is to getting some quality sleep, do what you can and invest some time into finding ways to be creative about getting in that good sleep because it will just help to ease how you're feeling. And of course, the most important thing you can do is to simply get help. I wish I had taken my conversations with my healthcare visitor a bit more seriously when she was asking me, how are you feeling? How are your emotions? I always didn't feel justified to raise any concerns or complaints because I felt like I had such an ideal setup. I had both my parents and my in-laws at the ready to help. My siblings were around. My husband was hands-on, like everyone was just mucking in. And I felt like I was surrounded by so much love and support that the few inklings that I did have, I kind of just didn't raise them because I always didn't feel like they were worthy of raising, which obviously meant to me having undetected baby blues. And I also think postpartum, there aren't many moments to just pause and think about yourself and think about how you're doing because there's obviously this wonderful new life that requires so much of you. And there's all of the other demands of life that are going on around you as well. So I think if I were to do this again, I would absolutely just take those few moments with that conversation with my health visitor to actually, at the very least, review how I was genuinely feeling and just assess everything, taking my time to make sure that I'm actually okay and don't have any concerns. There's lots of help out there. If you do raise it to your health visitor, they can connect you to the right support groups. You can get one-on-one help. They are there also to directly assist you with your help. So there's help on many levels. And I do also think it is important to share how you're feeling with close and loved ones and friends, anyone that you feel you can trust with that, because it does go a long way. And I felt so much more at ease when I was able to just start to talk to people. And the conversations alone helped me work through so many of those weird thoughts and feelings that I just didn't even know how to make sense of. So those are my key tips to working through baby blues. I honestly do hope that you don't go through this, but if you have any inkling of feeling a little bit blue, then I hope these help for you. And I absolutely hope you start feeling happy and like yourself again in no time. If you found this helpful, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any other tips that have worked for you working through these feelings, then please do share it down below for the rest of us. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.